Hello, universe. Welcome to the most spectacular wrestling podcast you will find on the internet. You are listening to Tag Me In, bro. I'm Joe Tantillo, and as always, I'm seated next to my terrific co-host, Taryn O'Connor. Say hi to the people, Taryn.
Hi to the people, Taryn.
If you're new to the show, the format is simple. Each week, we discuss all the magnificent moments, turbulent times, and stunning surprises that professional wrestling has to offer.
So turn your radio up and your opinions down, because we've got some hot tags coming up NXT, which means next.
Give me a hell yeah! I said give me a hell yeah!
Hey there, universe. Welcome to the show that's more fun than a kick in the nuts double count out. It's Tag Me In, bro. This is Joe Tantillo, one half of your new Tag Me In, bro tag team champions, Los Ingobernables de Tantillo. We won the prediction thing and we're very excited. We won by 1 point. Thankfully, my partner and real life bro John had the foresight to actually pick Roman when everyone else had turned their back on him. We'll talk more about how he knew how to do that. How did he know how to do it? He just picked the obvious thing. But we'll talk more about it in the main event. We do not want you to miss out on 1 second of Tag Me In Bro content. So go on Twitter right now and follow us at Tag Me In Bro. Now I hope everyone is excited for the show because it is about to go down in a big way. Today, tomorrow, and every day, we are talking wrestling. First things first, we'll cover the Raw Rundown, where we'll give you our analysis of the most important bits of last night's show. After that, we've got our Hi to the People segment, where we engage the audience to find out more about your views on who should be the face of WWE. After that, we'll take a trip to the Indian Corner. Then we move to our main event, where we'll be talking about the question on everyone's mind this week. And then we close out the show with our Stars of the Night. And the question on everyone's mind this week is what makes a bad pay-per-view? And I'm sure you can guess why we're talking about this. We'll be talking much more about that in the main event, but first, let's get to that Raw Rundown. Here are the only 5 things you need to know about Monday Night Raw this week. Number 5, Roman trying to reign but hindered by Jinder. Number 4, Seth Rollins vs. Mojo. Number 3, Monster in the Bank. Number 2, Ember Money. And number 1, Fantastic Victory. So number 5, Roman Reigns is still trying to be the big dog and being like, oh my god, the authority and the corporation and any sort of authority figure or person in charge is undermining me because I'm the true champion, blah blah blah. Nobody cares anymore. It's over. It's over, Roman. Move on. We've moved on. Some of us tried, like me. I hated you, and then I warmed up to you, and then I wanted you to win, and you lost twice. You failed me. You failed the world. And I know people are like, you're a failure, and block the haters and whatever. We're just bored. We're bored with it. You're not an underdog hero. We wanted you to be a big, super tough guy and actually beat Brock. You couldn't do it. And now you're feuding with Jinder, a guy that a lot of people actually also hate. But guess what? I'm cheering for Jinder in this feud. And I'm going to say right now, I am fully biased. I'm fully biased against Roman. It is not Roman the individual or the performer. The booking is terrible. It is god-awful. It is some of the worst booking for any superstar in the history of modern professional wrestling. They have absolutely buried him to the point of no return in the eyes of so many, and I personally don't believe that anyone is ever the point of no return, but he's pretty close for me too, personally. It's really, really bad. I can't stand this idea that they're almost trying to do the Daniel Bryan thing with him, where he's trying to overcome the odds. It's not believable. You can't pin Braun clean and pin Samoa Joe clean and expect us to think that there are any odds for you to overcome. He kicked out of 5 F5s. It's just nonsense. I'm not buying into it. Either you're a winner or you're not. And the fact is, Roman, you have a ceiling, and I don't think that you should be the Universal Champion. I'm over it. Put it on Jinder. God, I not really. It's all bad, but whatever. You're feuding with Jinder now, and you're not in Money in the Bank, so thank God. Number 4, Seth Rollins vs. Mojo. On the opposite end of the spectrum, Seth the Architect Rollins is having a Shawn Michaels 1995-96-esque run right now, where every single thing he touches is golden. I mean, this guy is amazing. I mean, seriously, this is the kind of champion that we deserve. Brock doesn't even show up, and Seth is having amazing classic matches with Mojo Rawley, of all people. How does that happen? How are you that good? He can't be bad right now. Really, really hope he stays healthy, because this is some of the best work of his career, and who knows if he'll ever be able to surmount it, but, put both belts on him. Who cares? He's great. He's freaking awesome. Number 3, Monster in the Bank. Braun qualified for Money in the Bank, making him the favorite. Is he going to win? No, I don't think so, but maybe he will, and that wouldn't be that surprising. So we'll see. Number 2, Ember Money. Ember Moon qualified for the Women's Money in the Bank match. Super excited about this. She pinned Ruby Riott. Ruby Riott, even though she got pinned, continues to impress me. Very, very talented. But Ember Moon, excellent choice to win this match. Excellent choice to be in the match. I don't know if she would make a good Money in the Bank holder, but she should definitely be in the match. I like Ember a lot, and I didn't love her when she was in NXT in her early days, but she's improved so much, and she's slowly won me over. She's not my favorite. I actually tend to think she's overrated, but that doesn't mean she's not good. So she is in Money in the Bank, and I'm glad to see that. And number 1 is a fantastic victory. Finn Balor, the Demon, the Man, the Irish founder of the Bullet Club, and the founder of the Balor Club, is in Money in the Bank. Will he win? Probably not. Should he win? It'd be pretty cool, especially if he turned heel. Would love to see that. I don't think he's going to be the winner, but, you guys all know, if you listen to the show, I absolutely love Finn Balor. I'm OG BC since 1993. And that is what happened on Raw. Honestly, it was an okay show. It was better than Backlash, certainly, which we'll talk about more. But it's one of those, you probably could read spoilers or you could watch it. You could go either way. It's a middle one. But let us know your thoughts on social media. And speaking of social media, it's time to say hi to the people. This week on Hi to the People, we want to know your thoughts on who should be the face of WWE. We'll be running a Twitter poll for the next 72 hours and discussing the results here on our show next week, so let us know exactly what you think about that. You can vote on Twitter by tweeting us and using the hashtag #HotTag, or email us at tagmeinbro@gmail.com to share your opinion and maybe have your thoughts read out on the show. Every week we rate out some of our favorite responses. Last week, as you know, the Hi to the People for this show was just putting up the polls for the fan prediction series, and the fans once again won the prediction series for the Universal Heavyweight Tag Me In Bro Championship. You have defended. You beat Taryn and I both by a point. We are going to just have to come for you at Money in the Bank. Keep up the good work, but all champions fall in the end.
Bullet Club is fine.
Let's take a spin to the Indie Corner real quick. Coming up on June 9th, Omega vs. Okada 4 at New Japan Pro Wrestling Dominion. This is going to be another possible 6-star match. It has no time limits, 2 out of 3 falls. This, I believe, will finally be the culmination of Kenny Omega's quest to claim the IWGP Heavyweight Championship. If you are not a New Japan fan and you have never seen their first 3 bouts, I would highly recommend going to watch them. In my opinion, they're some of the best professional wrestling in history, and I'm not kidding. I don't mean in modern history, I mean in all history. These 2 men are extremely talented. I find Okada to be the best wrestler on the planet right now, and I find Kenny Omega to be in the top 5, if not the top 3. So do yourself a favor, watch the matches that they wrestled before, especially their very first one from not this past year's Wrestle Kingdom, but the one before. Also, we're going to get Naito versus Chris Jericho at this event, so it's really, really a stacked card. This feels like it's going to be a huge deal. I'm super excited about it. I'm going to try. I can't watch live because it starts at 3 a.m. Eastern Time, but we'll watch first thing in the morning as soon as I get up. I highly recommend it to all of you. There is lots of good wrestling out there outside of WWE, and as I have said before on the show, WWE is my favorite, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't try other things. I highly recommend New Japan, and I highly recommend tuning into this pay-per-view that is coming up, even if you have never watched New Japan Pro Wrestling before. And that has been today's Indie Corner.
Hey, this is Clay.
This is Corey.
And we are the Two Dads Review Podcast. What do we talk about, Corey?
Movies?
Yes.
TV shows?
Yes.
And we're dads?
Are those all questions?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, find all that and more over at twodadsreview.com and your favorite podcast app.
And now it's time for the main event. Joining me for the main event is my tag team partner in crime, real life bro John Tantillo at BFLO Codebreaker on Twitter. John, say hi to the people.
Howdy, my universe.
Stop it. Stop it. Every single time. You're weird. You're weird on my show. Stop being weird on my show. Anyway, today we are talking about what makes a bad pay-per-view, and the reason this is coming up, ladies and gentlemen, is because Backlash was a dumpster fire. It was a hot pile of rotten garbage on our television screens, with, of course, the exception of Seth Rollins versus The Miz, which was exceptional. But other than that, it was trash. It was stank trash. I was just appalled that WWE would even dare to put something so foul on our screens. I thought after December to Dismember, they would have learned their lesson to never put on a bad pay-per-view again, and yet here we are, days later, pissed off about it. And why? I'm not going to say the thing. I'm not going to say the thing that Simon Miller says from What Culture, because I don't want to get in trouble with, copyright. But let's talk a little bit about what makes a bad pay-per-view and the reasons that Backlash was so boring. So first of all, the whole dual-branded pay-per-view thing, well, look at how many people were left off the card. We didn't have any tag teams at all. Except for the weird team of Braun and Bobby. So let's just talk about that. John, how do you feel about the fact that there was no tag team championship defended on this pay-per-view?
It's disgusting. I mean, first of all, they barely got any time at Greatest Royal Rumble. Deleter of Worlds is doing great work. Bludgeon Brothers are doing their job. I'm not their biggest fans, but they're doing a sufficient job. And, I mean, the fact that we got 2 non-tag teams in a recovery match, which honestly, to me, that ending felt really botched. I don't know anything about if it was or not, but the ending to that match was just plain bad. It was confusing. Braun power slammed some people for no reason, even though he's like the biggest babyface in the company right now, and it was bad, and the tag team champions deserve much more than what they got.
I feel like Kevin Owens is continually being used to put over these monsters. It happened with Goldberg. It's happening. It happened with Daniel Bryan, but I love Daniel Bryan, so I'm not that upset about that. But now it's happening with Braun, where he's put in these matches and he's basically embarrassed. And it's a weird role for him, considering he's been Universal Champion, multi-time IC, US. Like, he's very, very gilded in the WWE, and it's weird to see him in that role, and I don't like that we have to just have this force-fed bunch of main roster high-level guys in a tag team match instead of having the tag team championships. It just felt so forced. If they first of all, with these dual branded pay-per-views, they need to figure this out. Obviously, you can't defend every title at every single pay-per-view, but I don't think you should leave off a whole entire branch of wrestling. Like, they need to alternate. So say you've got the one WWE Championship match, one of the women's titles, one of the tag titles, one of the, mid-card belts. Do it like that and alternate and write, doubled length storylines for the other belts. Or if you really have a hot feud going, then you can have, IC title gets defended like 2-3 times in a row, but then you have to defend the US title on TV and give that a storyline on TV that's really good, and then take IC off of pay-per-views for a little while and vice versa. So you get what I'm saying. There needs to be balance, and that lacked balance. And I know the Greatest Royal Rumble threw a wrench into the works, but I don't have a lot of faith in their writing ability to write stories of really good length that are also enjoyable, that keep us drawn in for a long enough period of time. So that really needs to get fixed. Also, rip the cruiserweights, because there's a good chance they might never appear on a pay-per-view again, because Vince McMahon clearly does not think highly of them. I would actually love for the cruiserweight championship to start being defended at NXT pay-per-views every once in a while. I think it fits better with that vibe, and Triple H is running it anyway, so why not? Who cares? Pay them main roster money because they tour with the main roster and they do their show every week, but just have it defended at Big Fours. I think that the 205 Live has been great, and I actually think that the writers on that show could write long storylines and have really good feuds. Plus, there's fewer people, so it'd probably be easier to do more long, drawn-out feuds. I mean, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I think that makes sense. The fact of the matter is, dual-branded pay-per-views are off to a bad start, and I think they're just cramming too much into a space that does not fit in. And they're going to need to do something fast. I mean, I don't even know that I would want to see the cruiserweights be a part of this mess right now. I mean, it's honestly better them just being on 205 Live, where they're putting on consistently good work, than getting a half-assed 10-minute match on fucking Backlash. I mean,
The problem with the main roster is there's such an oversaturation of talent right now, and we knew that people would get left off the card when this dual-branded pay-per-view thing got announced, and we've been against it since day one. I've been very vocally opposed to it. I do think it's a mistake. Some people are open to the idea. I'm just not convinced they can successfully pull it off, and if they do successfully pull it off, time and time again, I'm not talking one, I'm talking time and time and time again, I will be the first person to rush and say I was absolutely wrong. They have disproved my theory. But until then, I reserve the right to say that I don't believe that they have the talent to do it, and not the roster talent, the writing talent and the booking talent specifically. But if they went to a more lean match card, even more people would be left off. So sure, the quality of what we would be getting would be better, but at that point, you got to trim the fat. And the fact of the matter is, guys like Rusev, who we love, they're not going to make it on the card. They're not going to have wrestling matches because he is not a main eventer in WWE right now, as much as people love him. Guys like Ty Dillinger, even people like Dean Ambrose, when he comes back, he tends to be on the fringe. He's not as pushed as Seth and Roman, unfortunately. So, Finn, too. Finn's another guy who's very talented, who might get pushed to the back. And you're going to have a lot more big casts, a lot more Braun Strowman, and those type of guys as long as Vince McMahon is around. And some people are okay with that, and some people aren't. So my recommendation is, if you're really not okay with it, there are a lot of other products out there that you can watch. But, another problem with this pay-per-view was the pacing of the matches was weird. Why in Nia versus Alexa, which should be a squash match, was it a drawn-out competitive battle? But Carmella pinned Charlotte clean, effortlessly. That doesn't make sense to me at all. First of all, I don't even want to talk about how much of a mistake it was now, in hindsight, even more to break the streak, which if you listen to the show, you know that I loathe that decision. But now you broke the streak with Charlotte, and Carmella has beat her twice without even a struggle. Who is booking the women's division? They would never book male superstars like that, ever. They really, really need to get their act together, and I know it's a lot better than it used to be, but that is just ridiculous. You have eradicated the importance of Asuka's streak in 1 month and made her look like a chump. And not to mention, you have the whole Iconics thing where they're walking around saying they're better than her. And I realize that perhaps I'm overreacting and Asuka's just lost, and I'm sure she'll build her momentum up again, but maybe not. We've seen people before. We've seen the undefeated streak before where it gets broken, and then that's it. They never return to that main event level status. Rusev is a perfect example of that. Remember how strong he was during his undefeated streak? And look at him now. He's never gotten back to the same point in his career, and we all thought he was a bona fide WWE champion. So, I don't know. John, what do you think about that decision and the pacing of the matches in general?
It wasn't just the pacing, but in addition to that, it kind of felt like there was no real stakes at this pay-per-view. Correct me if I'm wrong, but one of the only matches I was really excited for going in was the WWE Championship match, the third match between AJ Styles and Shinsuke Nakamura, and it was another double countout. It was the only match that had something to really look forward to. It could have been Naka's crowning moment again, and they messed it up a third time. They have two of the greatest superstars on the planet, and they fucked it up 3 times in a row.
Yeah, the fact that their best match was that middle match at Greatest Royal Rumble. First of all, this match that they just wrestled was just nonsense. It was not. I don't know if it was the worst of the 3, but it wasn't as good as the previous one, which is already disappointing. Second of all, in what world does a no DQ match end in a double countout? And I know it's technically a double TKO, but shouldn't no DQ... I know it's not last man standing, but why do we have to have all these stupid, tiny little differences between these matches? Because we get these bullshit endings, and it just sucked.
I don't even want to get started on the main event yet, because it's just... The fact that Roman is going on after the WWE Championship is just disgusting.
Yeah, let's just talk about that in general. Your WWE Championship match, and this is a problem that I have with every single pay-per-view because they make this mistake a lot. Your WWE Championship or your Universal title should be the most important thing in the company. from a story. So this is a television show about a wrestling company, and everyone who works in that company wants to be the champion, right? That's pretty well established since the territory days. Being the champion means you get the most money and the most fame, yada, yada, yada. Why on earth would the main event ever not be that match? Like, Ric Flair's retirement match didn't go on last at that WrestleMania, and that's frickin' Ric Flair. Like, why Roman Reigns, who has just lost 2 matches in a row, who is at probably his all-time point of heat, maybe it was after he pinned The Undertaker, but I think it might be right now, why is he going on at the end of the show?
Well, Joe, were you not aware that Roman's feet hit the floor first and he's actually Universal Champion right now?
Which, by the way, if you watch that match, it's very clear that his right foot is actually caught in the apron, which was probably a botch, and it's actually resting on the apron. So both of his feet did not hit the floor. So the whole thing is a fucking joke. I am very, very annoyed with them at this moment. That's one way to make a bad pay-per-view. And let's talk about, some of the other matches on this card. You have a match that nobody cares about in Jeff Hardy versus Randy Orton. Like, it was short, it was weird, it felt unnecessary. Randy didn't even hit an RKO, and if I have to watch Randy Orton wrestle at this point, I want him to hit an RKO because that's the best thing he's got going. And I know a lot of people out there love Randy Orton, and I'm not dissing him in general, but let's be honest, Randy Orton today is not Legend Killer Randy Orton from back in 2009, okay? It's different, and it's hard to get as excited about him. And if he's not even throwing out RKOs, whatever.
It was statistically worse than his SmackDown match.
Yeah.
Because at least after that, he hit Hardy with an RKO, which was more entertaining than the entirety of this United States Championship match.
Yeah, there were really no surprises at this pay-per-view at all. As far as the, predictions went, we got almost everything right, with the exception of Roman winning, which John predicted correctly. And the only other one that was wrong was the double countout, because who predicted... 2 double count. First of all, fans hate countouts and disqualifications, period. It's a non-finish. It's pretty lazy booking in general. And I gave them the benefit of the doubt after the double countout in Saudi Arabia, which I thought was a huge mistake to do in front of that audience who had paid you so much money and who rarely get shows, but whatever, they did it anyway. And I said, you know what? They're obviously going to continue the feud, and at Backlash, Shinsuke will be crowned. To do the same finish or a similar finish again, who is booking this? And someone was saying on the internet the other day, oh, it's such a shame that the fans used to just be fans and they didn't ask who was booking it or who was writing, and they weren't as informed about the product. Well, guess what? Times have changed. And I'm sorry if you're a wrestler, if you're a fan of old school wrestling industry and you miss when fans just shut up and watched, and you hated when everyone was a quote-unquote expert. Well, guess what? No one's claiming to be an expert. Very few people are. That's just what people who are trying to think they're smart on the internet say to denounce other people's valid opinions. WWE is a work of fiction. And with any work of fiction, whether it's the new Avengers movie or a Star Wars movie or Game of Thrones or the Hunger Games novels, whatever it is, if it's poorly written or there are characters you don't like or it's boring, you complain. And the truth is that people do know how it works now. So we're not going to go after the audience, the superstars, or go after, heels or faces like they used to. And let's not forget about that. People used to really hate heels for real and throw shit at them and threaten them. So we've matured from that. And now we just complain online about poor booking and poor writing, which we are absolutely entitled to do because we are consumers and we are paying our money. And if we're upset with a product and we're disappointed that we spent money on something that didn't entertain us, while that money is lost, we reserve the right to complain. And I think that's completely fair. And anyone who says oh, stop trying to be, a keyboard expert, I'm sure you've done the same thing in your time, or you've said, you can't sit there and tell me you enjoy absolutely everything that WWE does all the time. That's ridiculous. And you know us, we're super positive on this show. We always try to find the silver lining and point out things that are really good. But when things are bad, we're going to talk about it. And we have the right to talk about it because this is America. And I'm not really using that, but everybody's entitled to their opinion. If you disagree, you disagree. But you can't denounce people's opinions just because you think they're trying to be experts. Like, we're not being experts. We're just fans. We watch a lot of wrestling all the time. We talk about it all the time. We know good wrestling when we know what good wrestling is to us when we see it. Am I right, John?
Yeah, I mean, obviously we can tell good wrestling. There was good wrestling at the very beginning of the show. It was great.
Great
It was
wrestling.
It started out on such a high note, and it just went so far downhill so quick. And it's not even that the wrestling was bad, but it's what do they do next? I mean, let's take AJ Shinsuke as an example. The match up until the double count out, yeah, it was fine. It's not the best they can do. We know that for a fact. Where do they go next? I mean, they're going to have one hell of a stipulation to make up for 2 non-finishes in a row. It's got to be like a fucking ring of fire inside a Hell in a Cell, and the Hell in a Cell is on top of a ladder, and Shinsuke's actually on the ladder, and he's got to go down to get the title, and I don't know. But if Shinsuke loses this next match...
That's it. That's it for Shinsuke. He cannot... If he loses this match, I am convinced he is never winning the WWE title. And, there's a sneaking suspicion that Vince is afraid to put it on someone from, who is Japanese, which I think that's just people assuming that he's racist, which I don't believe. But for whatever reason, he's not putting it on Shinsuke, and it doesn't look good for Shinsuke right now. If he loses another match, that's bad news bears. That's just, I don't understand this feud that was a dream match, that was a great match in New Japan, an exceptional match in New Japan. They have they've ruined it. And I don't understand how WWE can take something so perfect and just ruin it. And they've done it before, and I don't know why we're surprised. But let's talk about 2 more matches we need to discuss. Daniel Bryan versus Big Cass. Now, Big Cass has come back, and he's much, much better than we thought he was going to be. But the truth is that this guy sucks as a wrestler. Daniel Bryan couldn't get a good match out of him. He made him tap out super quickly. Cass looks real weak, and then he beats up Daniel Bryan after. He gets that top heel booking. They obviously like him. Vince obviously likes him. He's a typical Vince McMahon looking big guy. And he's, his talking isn't the worst. It's improved a lot. He's got a good look, and he's got a sweet theme that I don't know what it's called, but it's called Truckin'.
Goddamn right it is.
But he's really, really not talented. Like, if Daniel Bryan cannot get a good match out of you, then nobody can get a good match out of you, because Daniel Bryan is just the technical master of in-ring ability. So that was a wash. And this feud, please, dear God, let it be over. Daniel Bryan should not be wasted on Big Cass. And I actually... on Twitter, I was talking a lot about how, it makes sense. It's good for Cass. He gets him the rub. They're trying to build new stars. Daniel Bryan doesn't have a lot of longevity, so they want to. But the truth is, Daniel Bryan does not have a lot of longevity. They need to get him into classic matches as quickly as possible, because if he gets one more bad bump, he is done. He will not come back another miraculous time. He just simply... I'm not a doctor, but... It's a freaking miracle that he's back this time. We are so, so lucky, and I don't want the WWE to waste him. John?
Yeah, I agree with pretty much all of that. I mean, I don't dislike Cass. I'm a big fan of his character. I'm a big fan of his theme and his look, even though his suits are they're too big, Cass. Please
They're big
get
in
a
some
tailor.
places and short in other. Like, the arms and the legs are short, but they're too big in the chest. It's weird. Dude, you got money, man. You got money. Baron Corbin just leased a Ferrari, so you can certainly tailor your suit.
But yeah, it was a bad match, and I don't like that it was a bad match. I hope that it gets better. I hope this is not all he can do. Maybe it was just the momentum of the show getting to them, but I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. I hope that the feud is over within another match, because I don't think it's over yet, but I'm optimistic that it will get better.
I don't know. Right, quickly before we get to the end here, let's talk about Roman versus Mojo. So people were leaving in droves during the main event. You could see it in videos. People were tweeting out about it. There were chants of Beat the Traffic, Johnny Wrestling, Rusev Day, this is boring, all the bad chants that you don't want in a WWE main event. The match was awful. Really, really bad. really slow. Samoa Joe was really trying his best to do character work, but the layout of the match, these guys did not have much chemistry on that night, and they had a decent match once before, but this match was not good. It was wrong. First of all, people didn't want it in the main event, so they were going to turn on it from the beginning. People are anti-Roman, so they were going to turn on it from the beginning, and people wanted Joe to win, so when Roman won, that was it. And you can see, if you were watching the live stream, as soon as Roman won, they panned to the crowd in the hopes to get good crowd reactions, and people were just getting up and leaving super quick. It was embarrassing. That's supposed to be your guy, Vince McMahon? Come on. You have freaking Seth Rollins, who's golden and untouchable right now, and you just won't stop pushing Roman. And I know the old Vince's stubborn thing is played out and everybody said it, but it's just ridiculous. It's sad. It's sad. You're damaging your own company. I mean, and you know what's crazy is they're not even losing money because people don't turn elsewhere. But you could be making so much more. They don't care. They don't care about my opinion. So I'm just screaming to you, the internet and the fans. But I know you guys agree with me. I'm preaching to the choir. But you don't have too many matches on a card. Don't have weird pacing of matches where the pacing of the match doesn't make sense with the previous booking of the storyline. Don't put any match other than your main title on last. Don't have pay-per-views a week apart. That's another one. And don't have matches that have no stakes. These are a couple of the takeaways from this discussion. And John, I'm going to let you get in the last word here about your thoughts on this.
The sad thing about this main event is that if it wasn't the main event and it was about 2 months ago, I would have been so excited for this match. I was very over for Roman in the build-up to Mania. I love Samoa Joe. He is an incredible performer. And just, they have consistently ruined every feud coming out of WrestleMania. They ruined WrestleMania for Greatest Royal Rumble. They ruined Backlash pretty much for Greatest Royal Rumble. And
Greatest Royal Rumble was weird.
Yeah, it wasn't
like it didn't need to happen.
But I really think this will go down as one of the worst pay-per-view main events of the last decade, for sure. I mean, it was terrible. Everything about it was bad.
Yeah, and you guys thought it was awful as well. We ran a poll immediately after, which had 500 votes, and it's the first time we've run a poll after a show, and you have voted majority that it was awful, and the second highest was that it was bad. So that speaks volumes.
It was just, I didn't go in thinking it would be a good show, but I couldn't have imagined it would be this bad. And that's the takeaway, honestly.
WWE needs to pick it up. There's a lot of good things happening in a lot of other promotions, including NXT, which I know is theirs, but you can't have your developmental brand be better than your main brand. That's not good. It's time to get your act together. Money in the Bank is one of my favorite pay-per-views of the year. Actually, probably my second favorite pay-per-view after Royal Rumble. Hopefully it will be good. Meltzer's reporting that Brock Lesnar will not be defending his championship, so we know we've got that missing title for a lot longer, which again, what a huge middle finger to the fans. It's so stupid. First of all, Brock has not been the draw that he was in 2012 in a long time. And I'm not talking about from actual numbers, what he pulls in, whatever. I really don't care about that. I'm talking, the guy is not, he's not like, I don't see him as this UFC heavyweight champion anymore. I just see him as a really, really lazy professional wrestler, which is unfortunate because when Brock wants to show up like he did at Survivor Series, he's super talented, but we get that Brock once every 2 years, seemingly, which just sucks. It's boring. Like, the Universal title experiment has been a failure in my eyes. Like, you had Finn's reign, which was a day. You had Kevin Owens' reign, which was a joke. You had Goldberg's reign, which was worse than a joke. And you have Brock Lesnar's reign, which is insulting and boring, and he's barely defended it. Like, they could do away with that title, and we would all forget that it ever existed. Plus, we hate the design.
Yeah.
So that's been the main event. What makes a pay-per-view bad? We'll probably talk about this more in the future with different details. But it was a great discussion, John. Thank you for joining me for that. We can't wait to hear any thoughts the fans might have. Now let's finish the show the way that we do every week with our Stars of the Night. Here are our Stars of the Night for Monday Night Raw, May 7th, 2018 edition.
You just made the list!
Number 3 is Ember Moon. The Phenom claimed her spot at Money in the Bank by pinning Ruby Riott in what was a pretty good match, and she has made the list this week. Number 2, Finn Balor won in the main event last night, claiming his spot for Money in the Bank, and like we said earlier, it was fantastic. And number 1 is the Golden Boy, Seth Rollins, who I think this is his 3rd or 4th week at number 1. The guy is perfect right now. He's literally perfect. He had a great frickin' match with Mojo Rawley, and in our opinion should be the absolute face of the company. He should be the poster boy. He should be doing every interview. He should be the Universal Champion. He should be the guy, and the man, and the architect, and the Kingslayer, and the wearer of hot pants.
Fireman.
Yeah. I mean, seriously, the fans are chanting "Burn it down" instead of 1, 2, 3. Like, that's insane. Just, Seth Rollins, you deserve it, man. You freaking deserve it. Well, that will do it for us here at Tag Me In Bro. Be sure to follow us on Twitter at Tag Me In Bro and join our 4,500 followers. We love conversing with you guys. It is the best part of our week. Also, you can subscribe to the podcast on iTunes, Podbean, SoundCloud, also iHeartRadio, Spotify, YouTube. There's a whole bunch of them out there. We're pretty much on every single platform that you could ever hope to listen to podcasts to. As always, we're eager to hear your thoughts, comments, questions, answers, so please let us know what you liked, what you hated, and what you could give a damn about. Also, if you enjoyed the show, please go on iTunes and give us a 5-star review. iTunes treats podcasts with 5-star reviews preferentially, so we really sincerely appreciate it, and we'll give you a shout out on the show. For my co-host today, John Tantillo, I have been Joe Tantillo. Thanks for listening to Tag Me In Bro, and Taryn O'Connor will see you tomorrow for SmackDown Live. Goodbye, Universe.
Goodbye, Universe.